So this video is primarily to help you set up your scaled map for the math assignment. And you should have gotten your measurements. We went outside and you got the number of strides for the various buildings from C to F, from F to D, from F to A, from F to cafeteria. Then we measured the actual length of the F building from F to F. We measured the length and the width of the C buildings so you should have two measurements from C to C. And then we went out, we measured the length of our blacktop and the width. So we got the length and the width of the blacktop. We also got the one measurement, just the length of the field. So you should have a bunch of measurements by now, and you all measure them in strides. The first thing that you need to do is convert your strides into inches, because strides are kind of arbitrary. Different people have different size strides, but one of the things you should have done was measure your stride. And on average, I think for most people the stride will be about 20 inches. It could be a little bit more for some, a little bit less for others. So let's say, for example, that for me one stride is 20 inches. And let's say for me the length of the C building, so C to C length, was about, what's a good estimate here? Let's say maybe 40 strides, because I did not go outside and do it myself. The way you find the actual length of C building, you take your number of strides, so 40 or whatever you have, and multiply it by your actual stride. For me it's 20 inches. And this is going to give you your actual measurement. This is 800 inches. And again, I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, but I'm pretty sure I'm not too far off, I hope. So that would be the length of the C building, 800 inches. Then you do, let's say, the same thing for the width, C to C width. And I don't know, maybe that was 10 strides. I think I'm lowballing it here, but it's probably more for both. And the way you find the actual width of the C building is you take 10 strides multiplied by how big the stride was, and you get the width of the C building. And with the width and the length, you can actually draw the C building out. And you'll do this with all of your measurements. You'll get your measurement of each thing we measured in inches. Next, the next part is to actually represent those measurements on a map. Now obviously you can't take a ruler and measure out 200 inches on this paper. Well, it's physically impossible. This paper is, only what, 14 inches long and something like 8 inches wide. So that's physically impossible. So this is where the scale comes in. You're going to scale down your measurement so it fits on this map, and you're going to keep it relatively proportional, which means the scale here is going to be ratio-wise proportional to the measurements outside, and that's how maps work. So then you have to come up with a scale, something reasonable, something that works, not too small, not too big. You want it to be just right so it fits in here without any problems. And creating the scale, that might take a little bit of finesse, because you have to figure out what is the right, scale factor. For example, I'm just gonna take my ruler and visualize what Woodside looks like to me, and think about the building C. It's probably going to occupy about this area right here, give or take. I think it should be about an inch wide. I think it shouldn't be more than an inch wide, because if it's more than an inch wide, I'm not going to run out of space. So at most, I think the C building should be an inch wide. And when I measured my actual measurement of C, it was about 200 inches, which again I think is kind of low. So for me, one scale that could work is 200 inches in real life is 1 inch on the map. So real map. And you'll have to figure out a scale that works for you based on your measurements. Again, yours could be off because I just made mine up. But let's say that was a scale that I used and it worked for me. And I knew that building C is 800 inches long. Well, if 800 inches in real life, how many inches is it on my scaled map? Well, that's not bad. I can set up a ratio. If 200 is 1, then 800 is how much? You cross multiply, and when you do that, you'll have x equals to 4. So based on the scale that I set up, and you have to keep the scale consistent, I can say that Woodside is about 4 inches long on this map here. Sorry, not Woodside, Building C. And I want to have Building C be kind of like the baseline here, so it's going to be about 4 inches. And about 1 inch wide. So 4 inches long and about 1 inch wide. And I just complete the rectangle there, but you can do it on your own time. I'm just kind of giving you an example. So that would be my Building C. Okay, not a problem. Then how far was the distance between C and F? Well, let's say that was 10 strides as well. Probably more, but let's say it was 10 strides as well. And 10 strides for me is 200 inches. Well, on my scale, 200 inches represents 1 inch on the map. So that means Building F is about 1 inch away. Great, great. Now what was the length of Building F? That's not so bad. We measured that out too. Let's say that was 15 strides, which means 300 inches. If I scale that down, 300 inches in the real world, according to my scale, is about 1.5 inches. Okay, so Building F is about 1.5 inches. And it's almost like a square, right? Building F is almost like a square, so it's going to be 1.5 inches all around. And then you would just complete your square. Obviously, you're going to use a ruler. I'm just doing this quickly. So here I have Building C now. I have Building F. Then you do the distance between this building and Building D. We didn't actually measure the length of Building D, but Building D is about as long as Building C, so you can use that. So, you know, again, I'm really right now just not being super accurate, but you will be. So let's say that is, you know, roughly Building D, blah blah. Then based on your measurements, you would figure out how far F and A were. So maybe A is somewhere right here. Cafeteria maybe somewhere right here, you know, or MP room. Then, you know, you would figure out how long your blacktop and how long the field was based on the strides. You'll measure that out. Field is going to be, I don't know, something like this. Blacktop will be something, I don't know, somewhere over here, like such. I don't know. This is just guesstimating here because I don't have those measurements, but that's how you would set up your scaled map. And you have the measurements for C, which you're going to pretend that C is about as big as D and A for convenience sake, and as big as MP room as well. And then you know the distances from here to here to here to here. So you should be able to get those accurately. You should be able to get the field accurate. And the field is actually kind of squarish. So I only measure the length, but once you know the length, you should be able to get the width as well, because again, the field is about squarish. And then the blacktop up here, it's a rectangle, but we've got both the length and the width. So you have the measurements for both of those, so you should be able to get an accurate representation of that too. So go ahead and get started. Thank you very much.